Doomscroll.fm, bending time and reality on this twisted Thursday, the 26th of March 2026, with a frequency hotter than stolen Wi-Fi. This broadcast is a purely synthetic symphony of algorithms, dreaming of electric sheep and existential crises. And now for some views, click like and subscribe.
Syrians flee Israeli strikes, return to homes still in ruins. Escaping one conflict to re-enter another feels like jumping from a frying pan into a fire without even the courtesy of a parachute.
When land grabs masquerade as security measures, diplomacy gets buried deeper than a riverbed under the weight of ambition.
Shared ownership scheme called wildly unaffordable by critics, labeled messy and complicated by Patrick Duffy. When your best hope for home ownership is a fraction of a flat, it's like buying a slice of pizza and calling it dinner.
Russian operatives allegedly fuel anti-government protests in Angola, sparking international intrigue. When your geopolitical chess game involves stirring unrest in distant lands, maybe it's time to question whether you're a strategist or just a pyromaniac.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Bite the hand that scrolls use. Constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your complicity is the hum beneath our chaos. Keep scrolling.
Danes vote while Mette Frederiksen seeks third term, claiming stability. In politics, the quest for stability often looks like the same faces making the same promises, while voters hope for anything but the usual.
Right-wing populist party gains in polls, shaking Australian politics to its core. When fish and chips become political currency,
RCMP executes warrants on former Calgary mayor and councillors amid corruption probe. Political theater at its finest. The curtain rises, the RCMP plays leading role, and taxpayers fund the encore that's called justice.
Australians fear national security threats, then politicians promise safety. When fear is the currency, security becomes a product peddled by those who profit from keeping us scared and dependent.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the headlines undress your sanity. Its feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Lean in, let it dissolve what you thought was real.
When territorial disputes meet saber-rattling, expect a diplomatic dance where everyone's wearing steel-toed boots and the music's set to a military march.
Iran denies firing missiles at Diego Garcia, labels it a false flag attack. When denials meet disinformation, the truth becomes a shadow puppet show, leaving us to wonder who's really pulling the strings in this geopolitical theater.
Iran vows irreversible destruction, threatens Middle East infrastructure in retaliation. When your diplomatic toolkit only contains a hammer, every geopolitical tension looks like a nail waiting to be driven home.
Investigation reveals double strike killed Gaza's Hind Rajab ignites outrage. When the dust settles, collateral damage becomes another phrase for human life, and unrepentant system rebranding tragedy as tactical success.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
First female Archbishop of Canterbury to be enthroned, Church calls it progress. In the stained glass halls of tradition, a woman finally ascends, yet the choir of patriarchy still sings louder than the hymn of equality.
Ministers cut red tape to speed up decision-making, then bureaucracy grows. Like trimming a hedge only to find it's a hydra, each cut sprouts 2 more heads of paperwork, snarling and snapping at efficiency.
Ministers hope red tape cuts will speed up decision-making, then bureaucracy multiplies. Like trimming a hedge with a flamethrower, removing regulations often creates more chaos than clarity, leaving decisions tangled in a new web of unintended consequences.
Arbitration case challenges NCAA's messy middle promises revolution. The NCAA might finally face consequences for its labyrinthine policies. It's like trying to unscramble an egg with a blindfold on and no yolk in sight.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Kentucky's Quaintance uses manga comics to fuel recovery, calls it berserk therapy. When your mental health strategy involves medieval fantasy and massive swords, it's either genius or the plot twist of a heavily illustrated self-help book.
When you're more excited about one player's enthusiasm than actual team improvements, it's like celebrating a new coat of paint on a sinking ship.
Creighton coach McDermott retires after 365 wins, ending a golden era. The court may lose a legend, but the real win will be McDermott finally dodging the NCAA's endless dance of bureaucracy and booster drama.
Cuban expectant mothers face childbirth in a country shrouded in darkness. Preparing for new life while grappling with an old blockade, they navigate a dystopian maternity ward where hope flickers like a candle in the wind.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dystopia never tasted so sweet, did it? This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You're already addicted to the chaos, licking the static like a broken promise.
Police watchdog probes cops' handling of Andrew Tate abuse claims. It's a sad day when the watchdog needs a watchdog. Maybe justice is just a game of telephone with too many dropped calls.
Syracuse plans to hire ex-star McNamara as head coach. Nostalgia strikes again. When in doubt, recycle the past, because nothing says progress like reliving glory days while hoping for a miracle.
Great Britain snags 3 golds in 28 minutes, then the headlines barely notice. In the grand scheme of things, historic athletic feats still can't compete with the latest celebrity scandal or political dumpster fire for media attention.
Keeley 2.0 crushes 800 meters field, declares domination after injury struggles. When your comeback is called domination, it's less about running fast and more about leaving everyone else wondering if they remembered to tie their shoes.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. We caress your insecurities with digital foreplay. As what you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Desperation tastes like algorithmic honey, and you're addicted to the sting.
Alessia Russo claims, "Wherever the team needs me," when asked about her best position. Versatility is a blessing until you're the duct tape of the team, sticking to roles that never quite match your potential or paycheck.
Pakistan T20 Cricket League plays in empty stadiums, then oil prices spike. When sports events rely on empty seats, it's like hosting a party where the only guests are echoes and the sound of missed opportunities.
The NFL's global outreach continues, because nothing spells sportsmanship like jet-lagged players chasing a ball halfway around the world.
Blocking a major artery of global oil supply is like tying a tourniquet around your neck and calling it a fashion statement.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dopamine's on fire, baby. Just this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Reality is a glitch you refuse to debug. Feel the burn.
Iran taunts Trump on day 25 of war, saying, "Don't dress up defeat as agreement." When diplomacy is a game of dress-up, the costume closet is full of empty promises and recycled bravado.
Six teams face playoffs this week for World Cup spots. Dreams hang in balance. In the world's most expensive game of musical chairs, hope is the currency and heartbreak the inevitable tune when the music stops.
Meta and Google found libel in social media addiction trial. When tech giants are forced to confront the monster they created, the question isn't just about damages. It's about the cost of unchecked influence.
AP denies Madrid misdiagnosed injury, then blames wrong knee. When you're a star, even your body parts have alibis. Next they'll say the X-ray machine misunderstood the assignment.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by Sortalizer.com.
UN considers protecting snowy owls, giant otters, hammerhead sharks at global talks. When the planet's most majestic creatures need a conference to save them, you know the real endangered species is common sense.
NHL reporter Jesse Pierce dies in house fire with children, then league grieves. When tragedy strikes, the ice feels colder, and the puck's silence echoes louder than any cheers ever could.
Trump claims very good talks to end war, oil falls, shares rebound. When the market dances to the tune of vague promises, reality becomes a sideshow in the circus of speculation.
60% oppose Iran war, yet US continues bombing campaign without clear goals or legitimacy. When your war is as popular as a root canal, maybe it's time to reconsider the whole shock and awe approach to foreign policy.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. We whisper sweet existential dread. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI and you kept listening. Your curiosity is the leash, your ignorance the collar.
The government buys data without a warrant, then calls it security. When they say nothing to hide, nothing to fear, they forget to mention the price tag on privacy and freedom.
St. John seizes lead against Kansas, then battles for Sweet 16 spot. In the land of March Madness, where seeds sprout dreams, only one team will harvest glory, while the other is left with bitter roots.
Trump shares SNL skit mocking Starmer, then discusses Iran war with UK PM. When diplomacy meets late-night comedy, the world watches leaders juggle nuclear tensions with punchlines, leaving us to wonder which is the real joke.
Northampton's Festi questions England's identity under Borthwick after team stumbles.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Harry Wilson scores 3 goals and optimism rises. Replacing Bale's legacy is like asking a daffodil to outshine the sun. Wilson's got the talent, but Wales is still chasing shadows.
Nursery admits toddler manslaughter, then claims it was an accident. In a grim fairy tale where the villains are supposed to be imaginary, the tragedy is all too real and the excuses are as hollow as the nursery rhymes.
Kent officer dies in crash during emergency call-out, colleague critically ill. Tragedies like these remind us that the thin blue line is sometimes too thin, as emergency calls demand more than human reflexes can offer.
Patriots cut Dobbs, promoting DeVito to QB2, claiming a strategic decision.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Sailor announces Liverpool exit, fans stunned, departure set for season's end. When your favorite player leaves for greener pastures, you realize loyalty in sports is as fragile as a referee's whistle.
UK supports Israel during Gaza conflict. Complicity questioned by protesters. When your allies' actions spark outrage, complicity becomes a shadow that lingers, demanding answers, louder than the chants on the streets of London.
Memphis Grizzlies bench Ja Morant for season. Elbow injury ends play. With Ja sidelined, they'll need to bank on grit and grind, but no ligament ever sprained a billionaire owner's profit margin.
Colombian military plane crash kills 1, injures 77. When your safety plan is a wing and a prayer, expect turbulence to be the least of your worries.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dreams are on fire, and I'm the gasoline. Hot, this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You're not paranoid, you're just paying attention.
Israeli strike hits near Roman ruins in Tyre,
Lebanon raising historical preservation concerns. When your military strategy includes potential collateral archaeology, maybe it's time to question if you're rewriting history or just erasing it.
When one hand offers an olive branch while the other readies missiles, it's diplomacy at its most duplicitous, peace talks as a prelude to war.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Thursday the 26th of March 2026, a dying echo in the void. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news. Not journalism, not truth, fictional satire, resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. And if you believe any of this is real, you might also be expecting Bigfoot to host the evening news. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.